Hello and welcome to Philemon. I am Brian. This is our Rainbow Spotlight interview series, and I am joined today by my dear friend and previous interviewee, Dave Ebersole. Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, great! It is snowing here in Seattle. How could I not be fabulous?
Can you leave it there, please? Leave
I
us
promise we
there,
won't send any your way.
please.
You have plenty of your own.
We do.
Actually, is it? You still have snow on the ground?
Oh yeah, yeah. We got I'm right outside Philly, so we had like 3 inches. I don't know. It was on my car, and it was annoying on my car. So
So, I'm a Floridian, as you know, and
yeah.
I am just learning how to deal with snow in a practical way. I do have a scraper for my car. I have snow chains, or the equivalent, the auto socks or whatever. But I don't have anything to shovel or sweep up, like snow with. So
Right.
that'll be the curse. Like, as long as I don't have that, I'm guaranteed to get snow this year. So it's working so far. Um,
You can do what I did. So I didn't. So it snowed. I waited 2 days, and then I went and just pushed everything off after the sun came out and melted.
I mean, that works, and that's the thing. Like, people don't.
Just don't do anything for 2 days after it snows. You're good. You're good.
I'm okay. Well, in this year of 2020, work from home, we're in a unique position.
Right.
So for those of you who do not know Dave's work, I will definitely be gracious to introduce you, but I want you to talk about all of the things you are doing, because you're doing so much right now. It's very exciting. I've followed your work with Dash for gosh, how many years has Dash been a thing? Like 5?
Since 2014, so a little longer than.
I
Yeah, I
think
know.
we must have talked around, like, for the first time. I think 2015 maybe.
It was
It sounds
2015 we talked. I went back and listened to it recently. It was such a good conversation.
Oh my god! And then I was so thrilled I got to see you. But anyway, so doesn't matter. You are principally, you're a writer, but you are principally like playwriter. That's your main focus in before times. What you've done, I guess, most of your work in.
Yeah, I mean, I was a theater director, and for since I graduated with my undergrad since 2005. So that's what. Oh my god. And then I started writing plays in 2010, and I just like creating my own worlds. I stopped directing so much because I wanted to kind of concentrate on my own stories, and directing other people's stuff is great and it's exhilarating, but it was just less time for me to focus on the stories that I wanted to tell. So
And one of those stories that is in the comics medium, one of, I believe, of many to come, is Dash, which I am so happy. I mentioned this on Comic Book Bears, I think.
Yeah, oh,
I got my hard copy just the other day after kickstarting it, but I forgot to put in my info because I'm terrible with those things. And Zan Christensen, who is the publisher of Dash from Northwest Press, he hand delivered, because we're both in the Seattle area. He hand delivered this because I knew. He's like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry," and I'm like, "No, it's fine." So yeah, I was very excited to get my hands on it, mostly because even though I've read the first, I think it was 5 issues before, going back, I had not read the 6th issue, even as of last we talked, because I think that was just coming out.
mm-hmm.
So I had no idea how you were going to land this thing. There's some cool back matter. So this, I believe, Northwest Press, if you go to their website, they still have this for sale.
Yes, they do.
And some of your comic retailers that pre-ordered it would also have it. But, and if they don't, that's cool. You can ask them to try to find it, or you just go to, Northwest Press.
We're on Comixology too.
And Comixology, oh my god, that's the thing. I use them so much these days. But there's some really great back matter. In addition to the 6 issues, you've got 2 short stories, I think. Is it just 2, or there's more than 2?
Well, we have a standalone story that's like the length of a whole issue, and then we have 2 short stories.
That's it. Okay. And some cocktail recipes, which we used to talk about when I interviewed you, Zan, and a bunch of other people. Gosh, now a while back. Your artists. I shouldn't say a bunch of other people. Your artists, Delia and Rico.
Vinny, yeah, Vinny
Vinny.
Rico.
Oh my god, I always want to call him Rico. Vinny Rico.
I know. It's such a great name.
But and some great pinups. I love the last page particularly. I have this in my PDF. I should just share the screen, but basically, it's a delightful pinup that sort of teases what is to come.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm sure we'll talk about here in a minute. But if you haven't read Dash, I'm not going to spoil a lot about it, but I will say that it is a really original voiced queer 50s, right?
40s.
40s. I always
40s. Pre-World War II.
That's right. Oh, that's important actually. 40s era crime noir with supernatural overtones. And it's just but it's set in a very real world LA with all of the things like police kind of corruption, sort of private investigators, film studio moguls up to no good or whatever, and real true to life gay men being forced to kind of like live in their closets, but still try to live. So if you've like seen not LA, Hollywood, the Netflix,
Yes.
the Ryan Murphy thing, it's like after this is before that, but still really grounded in that real world there.
Yeah, it's the same. It's definitely the same world that they were they were all existing in, unlike and Hollywood, which I loved Hollywood. I mean, people didn't like it. I read it because they I guess they didn't understand it was historical fiction, and they didn't promo it like that either. So as you were watching it, I kind of compared it to Inglourious Bastards.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
oh yeah.
You don't know that you're watching historical fiction until it happens, and then it's great. It's even better, right?
I talked about this on Flame On or Comic Book Bears. I don't remember now after I talked about it several times, but yes, I agree with you completely. It was really knowing it was historical fiction. Which they didn't. Once you started watching it, if you were paying attention, they weren't hiding it. They weren't trying to make you think that it was like. I mean, it's got a very good degree of verisimilitude. Like it's in that world in a very believable way. But they make some departures early on that if you're at all familiar with that era at all, like that it's fiction.
Yeah.
But people were disappointed by that. I think they wanted to see true stories of the queer creators in that era, understandably, but is sort of a fairy tale love letter and then a sort of what if, in the grand tradition of like Marvel comics certainly, or Elseworlds in DC. It's really cool.
It was. I would say. I mean, like it would have been an influence for me. If I was writing Dash now or just coming up with it, that's how much I loved it. Especially just so much of the stuff that was true, and the stuff that they changed, like you said, like if you know it, then that was like the hook from like it'd be like the historical stuff. Sure, that's the hook, but like George Cukor's parties, you know what I mean? Like that all that happened, right? But in the gas station, that was a thing. It was a real thing, but once once things start going, makes a hard turn. I think that's more of the hook for me. That was what kept me going with it.
Yeah, it's a delightful, like I said, what if the queer creators actually got to have their voice heard, and not just queer, but people of color. Like, what if Hollywood kind of got their shit together in this representation, like back in the 50s? Like, what would that have been like then? How would that have changed what we have now? And it doesn't extrapolate past the story that much,
Nope.
But you set up quite an interesting world. And I think that contrast with what we have now and what the history of actual Hollywood is useful and sort of an interesting comparison. But yeah, I think marketing killed it. I think calling it Hollywood. There was another. What was the gas station called in that thing? Whatever the gas station was called, that's what they should have called the series, because it was like, I don't know, Elysian Fields, or I don't know. It was something It was something that like obviously kind of talked to it being a fantasy. Whereas calling it Hollywood, you just think, oh, this is about Hollywood. This is just Hollywood. So yeah, I think the marketing didn't do any service, but
And what is Hollywood if not a fantasy? So it's a big circle right there.
It's kind of like the Ouroboros, which shows up in Dash, I believe.
Yeah. Every beginning is an ending, and every ending is a beginning.
So we've kind of talked about. By the way, let's just put this out there. Dave and I like tangents, and so if any of you are expecting a straightforward interview, that's not what's going to happen.
Good luck.
I'm going to try to rein us in because I absolutely want to promote what you're doing, and we talked about this. But I fully anticipate these like tangents because it's so much fun to talk to Dave. The first time I interviewed you, we went gloriously long about our backgrounds and how similar they were, and how religion has kind of both helped and hurt us in our lives, and it was a whole thing. So I don't know. I hope to live up to that first interview.
I think we're doing it. I feel like
good. And we have people watching. We have 10 people. I don't know who they are. Although one person did identify themselves. We're going to say hi, Courtney.
Oh, hey, Courtney.
It's good to. Is she? I'm assuming you know her.
Best. She is the best. If you don't know Courtney, you should. She is literally the best.
Literally.
Literally.
So let's talk about Dash for a bit. So I love the fact that you finished this epic story, which is very epic. I mean, you go from L.A. in the 40s, you go into like ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
You weave in all of this great pulpy genre stuff about Egyptian mummies, curses, Atum. I don't know how to say it.
I thought it was Atum, but I think it's someone recently corrected me, and which is very interesting because it's the creation story just in Egyptian form. Not to go on a tangent about our religious background again, but
Please.
like every it's just interesting to me, and that's kind of I kind of tied that in to Dash, and growing up, I was so this is the history. Dash has a line in there saying the only history book he had growing up was the Bible. And that wasn't the case for me because I went to a school that was affluent but Christian. So that was the first history book. And so for me, just, even now as someone who's 41, who just still discovers things and is just still a little shocked that there's so many things that link up, and that there's so the stories of every kind of culture, the beginnings of every culture are very similar.
It's I want to share one page real quick, and then I want to touch on what you just said. So this is the one of the pages where you really dig into the history that informs the world. And I don't think there's anything spoilery here, though. I love that. This little bubble down here about he masturbated, ate his own semen, and from that spit out 2 children. Is that actually part of the myth?
Yeah, their legends are wild. Their legends are wild. You think the Greeks were wild? They were wild. I was doing research for this, and I was trying to tie something back to it. And there's a much wilder story about male genitalia that I decided to leave on the shelf after a long conversation with my co-creator Delia.
I can't believe Delia talked you down.
She didn't say
from
no.
That.
We're like, well,
I want to share another screen just so we all understand that that's one aspect to Dash, but then you have something that is a little more maybe what you would expect, and again coming from a queer crime noir. There's Dash Malone with his love Johnny Plinkett's. This is a little bit more, I guess, what people probably would, expect. And then you get the coppers getting involved. And anyway, so it runs the gamut, I think is what they say. I want to come back to your thing about religion and common mythologies overlapping.
Right.
Because I've been really neck plus deep into cults lately.
Okay.
I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but so I've been listening to and watching Scientology: The Aftermath.
Interesting.
Thanks in no small part to Bill Zanowitz from Comic Bears, who got me into it. But also then branching off into all these other things, literally Branch Davidians, Heaven's Gate, Scientology, Jehovah's Witness. actually before the Scientology kick, Nexium, The Vow, and
Yeah.
Seduced was occupying a lot of my brain. And so like it's a weird thing hearing common practices in terms of like building a faith, building a religion, cementing believers in that faith, and hearing those techniques and knowing, oh, I've experienced that in my own religion. Not maybe to the extent, and not as, I will just say, as nefariously, because most of those cults I just mentioned are pretty nefarious. Whereas Christianity, like, a little bit nefarious, a lot of it just, I don't know, trying to do good and maybe just not the most, I don't know, straightforward or productive way, whatever. So it's weird. And so, talking about common mythologies and then dealing with like apophenia, where the human brain just wants to see patterns. There's just so much there that I'm like I said, like our shared backgrounds in Christianity and being young and impressionable and having that mythology just like downloaded straight into our cortex. It's given us a lot to work with, and yet at the same time, it complicates, I think, learning about other faiths and religions and trying to see how they all interconnect and trying to. So anyway, there's a lot there to unpack that I.
Well, no, like, I mean, even honestly, like, even publishing this and even writing that, I was like, oh my God, is God, like, oh my God, like, are you gonna be angry at me? And I was like, what am I doing? Like, like it's just this knee jerk, like, you can't create anything that's whatever. And that's kind of what I mean. I got in trouble multiple times growing up creating stuff that was outside, biblical lines. I remember playing Star Wars with my friends when we were in like second grade, and we were told we were not allowed to play because they were warlocks.
So that's hilarious, because for some reason I got away with Star Wars, but He-Man and like Legend of the Mystical Ninja or Ninja Kid or Dungeons and Dragons, like no,
Dungeons and Dragons,
hard
no.
But for some reason, sci-fi, even with like Jedis and stuff, it was fine. Like that seemed to be okay because it was like future-y sci-fi. Right. That or my mom just didn't bother paying attention to it, which is also possible.
Oh no, my mom didn't care about Star Wars. It was. There were teachers in my school.
Oh, your teachers had the
teachers. Okay. We were out. I'll never forget it. It was snow. There was snow on the ground, and we were playing lightsabers and stuff. And I guess she overheard what we were doing, talking about the Force or whatever. And we were not allowed to play that anymore. So
that makes sense. Well, but the Force is magic. Like it's like, okay,
sure.
if you're gonna be, for any intellectual consistency, if you're not going to have an issue, if you're going to have an issue with Harry Potter, but you're not going to have an issue with Star Wars and the Force, why? Like, they're both magic, if not one kind of called something that's not, magic. It's like, why would you discriminate? And so in that case, I'm like, all right, cool. At least your teacher had sort of this weird internal consistency, but...
Right, and the funny thing is, I definitely have sat there for sermons, using Star Wars as comparative to Christianity.
Oh yeah, there's books. No, there's books out, and I forgot we talked about this on Comic Book Bears. We found this book, and I forgot who the writer was, but it was someone we were talking about, and he absolutely wrote Star Wars and Christianity, and it was a beat by beat like. It was, oh my God, I got to find that. I don't remember anyway, I got to find that and send it to you because it is outstanding.
No, wait, I think that and you can totally do that with the Tridge, right? Like the first three movies, like in first original movies, you can absolutely do that with. But but then they started making more. So now it doesn't work. It doesn't work now.
Well,
you could try to make it work still, but I
want to see someone take Last Jedi, which I think is one of my favorites, and I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying that. I don't know if we have is this going to cause a profound rift in our relationship?
Absolutely not. I have so many thoughts and feelings on The Last Jedi. Some of them bad, some of them good.
It's not perfect, 100% guarantee. I agree. But I want to see that and Christianity melded in a certain way. And I'm not saying it's not possible. In fact, I think that's actually a great intellectual challenge there. But yeah, I know you're right with the expanded universe. Let's just say, and that'll include Mandalorian and all the other good stuff that's come out. I think that yes, making a correlation to Christianity is it's a little harder, but you can still do it. We do have a couple people in the things that I don't want to completely ignore them. I guess Carlos also says hi, and I don't know if this is the same Carlos or yet another Carlos, but Carlos.
Look at them. They're wonderful. They're wonderful people.
And of course, he had a question, and that's when, where, and how did you and Delia come up with Dash? So we should answer his question. I'm sure he already probably knows, but we'll answer it for anyone who doesn't.
He's doing really good at prompting our conversation, or maybe steering us back on track. So, I mean, to answer the question that I had. I workshopped with. I was lucky and fortunate enough to workshop Dash with Scott Snyder, Batman writer, and writer of Justice League and other things. And it was just the best. And he's on the back cover of the book. He's exactly what he said in the back. Like, I would read this comic book, which is, I feel like, the best compliment I can receive. That someone of that caliber would read the book, and I didn't have art yet, and my dear friend Sarah, who the character Cindy is inspired by, knew Delia, and kind of set us up on like a blind artist date. She had given Delia the script, and Delia was like already into it, and I looked at her art, and I was like, this could work. This could really be a great match, and it has been. It's been one of the best artistic relationships I've ever had, and we've gone through a lot, and this year has been great. Everyone else has a terrible year, but Dash is having a wonderful year. Which says a lot, I think. It says a lot.
Well, I mean, no. So that's the thing about this year is it's bad in so many ways, but I think for creative communities, especially like not performers maybe as much, but not entirely not performers. I feel like there's a lot of like networking and sort of connecting and ways of getting your work out that are coming around and evolving that are going to make that more productive for creative people. So like I watched a drag show, and this is more for performers. I watched a drag show last night that is done by a group down in San Francisco, and they're called Media Meltdown. And they do like weird, like they did a drag show about Dune the other month. They did a Shrekmas drag show. The next one they're doing modern art themed drag show. So wow. And they're two drag queens in San Francisco, but they bring in contributions from all over the country to do their show. So like that didn't exist prior to COVID. There was so little that was like streamed and so like I've just seen a lot of people like yourself having really good and productive like years as far as like getting your material out to the world, finding new opportunities, that you're going to talk a little bit about. So yeah, it's a mixed bag for sure.
So I think one of the things, especially being a theater artist, it's really been rough. And we're all kind of figuring out different ways of kind of doing our craft, right? So what I can actually say, what I'm doing February 2021 is I have a trilogy of plays that I have written, and they're not new. I've done some of them have been produced many times, but I've never done the trilogy together. So in February of 2021, we'll be streaming all of them. Me and a bunch of really amazing theater artists. And I will. There's an image that we're going to release today. It's going to go up somewhere. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And I would have never done that if I wasn't stuck in my house. I don't think I would have had the opportunity to work with the people that that are working on it if this wasn't a thing. So.
Well, like look at so I mean, first of all, that's fantastic. I'm very excited because I've never seen one of your plays,
Oh,
again, unless I was, I just happened to luck out and, be in an area where there was one being, I would have no opportunity to see one. So
right.
now, because of COVID, I'm going to get to see your work, which is so exciting for me. But like, I know several like theater troupes and improv groups and all of this doing these online streamed things, and that's so awesome because like the San Francisco group, I would never have seen them if I didn't go to San Francisco to
Right.
the little tiny bar that they were doing it at for like a handful of people, and yeah, it's more rewarding doing it for real bodies,
Hmm.
but like to get that reach and then to have that be something that you could build on and continue both live and streamed and have this like those are golden opportunities that don't come around very often. So I'm excited. I'm thrilled that you're going to
Oh,
have that coming up. Well, streaming platforms aside, because I do have a whole thing about that. I'm trying to figure out like what is
right.
that streaming platform that we should all
Well,
rally around because
we
I've
will.
seen
Oh,
like
to be announced.
yeah,
We're still
it's
working out some of the details. And this was an idea I've been like kicking around for about a month with some people, and everyone's just like, "Why don't you just do it?" And I was like, "Why don't I just do it? Like, who's stopping me?" And I think that, and right there, and this is kind of I want to touch on this because this is like kind of huge for me, is that especially now with this, it's terrible and it sucks, but there's a lot of gatekeepers that have just been out of business now. They're out of business. They can't stop you from putting your work out there.
yep.
So, um, am I going to sit around and wait for a theater company to do the trilogy? And yes, I would love for that to happen. And it's not that I'm not going to continue to submit it. And I believe all three of them are on the new Play Exchange. I don't know if anybody, if you know about that. It's a networking. Um, It's the biggest, I think, and only huge networking play, new playwright website where playwrights can upload their work and directors and theaters can see them and choose to do them or not.
Hmm.
And playwrights can read their work and stuff like that. So they're amazing. But yeah, don't let other people stop you. Like it's been huge in my life. I mean, like I have never waited around for someone to give me the opportunity and permission to create, except myself. That's the only person who's ever stopped me is really me.
I think that there's something very Grant Morrison about that, and I know you and I both have a love for Grant Morrison's work. Uh, I think that like it's manifesting, and I'm not like getting pseudoscience and weird like religious any
Right.
spirituality whatever. Forget all of that. All of that could be valid for you, but that's not what I'm even saying. But like that manifesting of in yourself giving your like you said giving yourself permission
Hmm.
and then just doing it setting expectations for yourself, that's important. I think setting whether it's external deadlines and goals or internal or whatever your process and works for you, but like just committing to that to produce the work. And then like you said, now especially now all of those gatekeepers that used to like rule everything and they're gone or they're failing. And
Right.
case in point, I love this example. So we use a platform for this called StreamYard. I think
Hmm.
you've used it for other things. I mean, so it's widely used by a lot of people like myself to do these kind of streams. It's actually being used by a lot of TV news systems and other like big media to
Really?
do this same thing when they can't do in person in studio production.
Hmm.
And so for a while, I'd be watching like YouTube local news here or some other stuff from back in Orlando. And I'm like, holy crap, they're using StreamYard. They're using the same thing I do.
Same thing you're doing.
They look like this looks as good as their crap. Like,
Yeah.
you have these news people in their houses, with their own little backdrops that they've set up, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like leveling this playing field that used to be so hard to do. So anyway, all I'm saying is I think that you're right. I think that there's a golden age of opportunities now. Now, what will happen from here is the trick, right? Because when podcasting started, it was the same thing. We had all
Hmm.
these great avenues to get our stuff out there, and there was no big competition. But you know that in next year and certainly thereafter, like you'll start to get those gatekeepers back
It,
in business, and they'll start cranking their content out.
well,
So yeah,
Oh yeah, for sure. That's I mean I know firsthand that the everybody who was doing stuff now has figured out that podcasting is where they should be at the moment. Someone explained to me that it's like the wild wild west. Podcasting is right now. Nobody's really taken over it, but
Well,
be
like
careful.
NPR is like dominating on a certain kind of podcast, but then you
Yeah.
have like Gimlet
Hmm.
and all the NPR derived PRX, all that crap. They're doing their thing. So it's like Wild Wild West as a like Hickman's East of West. You've got like these city states sort of standing up and doing their thing, but there's still such a wasteland of like Flame On. Flame On's been around since 2011. We have a loyal following. We have, some name recognition. We've had some pretty big opportunities and guests and whatnot. But, have we like broken through into anything that's even like demonstrably considered a success? No. Like, downloads are like comic book numbers. If you look at comic book numbers, a successful comic book sells 100,000 issues.
Right.
Like a successful podcast, in the not NPR, not Gimlet world, like downloads are in the thousands, so it's weird. It's a weird world.
I was explaining to someone who did not understand the comic book world, but was trying to understand numbers and things. I was like, for Dash to have sold the numbers that we have, for being as small as we are, and also being a queer comic, that's a win. And they were not seeing it that way, because they were seeing it in the they got it eventually, but like it was they were seeing like I don't know, they were seeing things like with a lot more zeros attached to it.
No, we all. Anytime I learn like about media numbers and like actuals, it is this weird disparity between the huge like publishing content creators and their broadcast numbers,
Hmm.
and then the streaming or niche community markets, and it's orders of magnitudes difference. And so it's frustrating because we all, especially if you're making money off of your creative work as you are, like you want to get to that size and that distribution channel. So that's why you see these writers prove themselves in one medium like indie comics, and then
Hmm.
transition and do big Marvel DC work, because that will get both their numbers coming in from these major books, and it'll help bolster indie stuff. It's like you
Hmm.
see why that's the flow. Like that's how that works. But it's frustrating. It's just frustrating. It's hard to and it's hard to tell people about like what you do. And so, look, I'm successful. I sold, X number of books. Like,
And they're like, oh, that's success. That's
yeah.
success.
But yeah, it's up to us. But yeah, back to manifesting, because I do think that's really the thing. Morrison's thing is like the ideas. You have to speak them into existence. You have to put them out into the universe, or there's zero chance that they're going to be anything. If they're just in your head, 0% chance they're going to be realized, right? So I'm thrilled that Dash has been realized and is out there, and I'm excited. The last page. This is a little spoilery, I guess, but not
Okay.
really.
Yeah, do it.
The last page, actually, I can pull this up on my PDF here. Hold on a second. I'm going to show it here while I pull it up here. Portends, because you were cagey about this when I talked to you last time. You were like, well, maybe there'll be more. You basically full on commit to it here.
There's so much more.
No, and that's so awesome. And then the last, like, I guess it's almost it is that's the full story. The one that oh gosh, what was the artist you worked with for that one?
For
The
Sean Gorman, you mean for
yes,
the
yes. It's like a
no,
bridge
that
story.
was kind of something that we did, and that was a long time. The Man Behind the Mask. Um, we were doing that we had been working on that for 4 years, and it was funny the way collaborations happened, because Sean was. I had sent Sean a script that I felt great about, and Sean kind of pushed back on me. He's like, "You have a guy who's kind of a swashbuckler, and there's no sword fight." And I was like, "Well, it's not really about that." And he's like, Dash just fought a mummy. Like, can't I do something fun? So I was like, all right. Let me look at this. But and that has some potential new story threads too. But
Okay.
I can say that in June of 2021, the first issue of the Case of the Missing Detective um, will be out.
Wow, that's so cool. It's going to be a thing
It's
in
a
less than or about 6 months. That's so fantastic.
oh
Now
I
is
mean I've seen the so Vinny Rico is going to be doing all the interior art, and Delia Gable, my co-creator, will be doing all of the covers, which is why she did this one. Which is why I was kind of cagey about it, because we were still kind of working it out. So I didn't, but I knew if we were going to announce something new, I wanted, Delia had to lead on that.
mhm.
And she did, in such a great way. And the thing about the Case of the Missing Detective is it's a little darker and it's a little more queer, um, than the Zeta Makara was.
Okay.
Dash goes missing, and it's up to his allies, teaming up with a new supporting character, which is Dinah Daiquiri Dawson, which is this beautiful lady right here, who runs an underground queer nightclub.
Oh.
And it was the research potential on this for me is so high, and it's been just amazing already, because it's kind of what queer life in looking at what queer life in the 1940s would look like for someone who was that. And, of course, it's a supernatural thing. So there's a mad scientist. Um,
Now that's the mad scientist. It's Dr. Tamaridian, right? And he was in the previous adventure. Yeah.
right. And our big villain, Scorpion, she's behind all of it. But, uh, but yeah, Dash goes missing, and it's up to his friends to find him. And the thing is, like, he has allies, straight allies, which is great. And I think that part of it, that part. I mean, people had allies in the 40s. They're not talked about. It's just you hear about it, and you just hear that everybody hated gay people, but that's not necessarily true. But did they really know about their lives? Did they really know about these clubs? Did they really know about, like, the run? No, they didn't. And so with Dash going missing, they actually have to find out,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, like, yeah, we don't actually know our friend as well as we think we do, because he has a whole other life. And it's kind of really about them discovering his life, while Dash is somewhere discovering a whole bunch of other things.
I think that's excellent. That's a great follow on to this first work, because you really sort of subvert what people would expect by focusing on these side characters. It's like, imagine if Superman, after beating Lex Luthor or whatever, goes missing, and then Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen have to team up with, not Batman, but like somebody else who's like, whatever, supporting character,
Right.
Crypto, and go and have to find him. Like, people would go, wait, what? But then that's perfect, because the absence will make you miss that character. I love that. It's great.
And his two allies are inspired by two of my very best friends, which is my friend Sarah and my friend Jay. Who there's two short stories in the back of the graphic novel, which are dedicated to them, because they've done, like, a lot for me as a writer, and they've really inspired me to keep going with this. So they're the inspirations. They're not, the character's not based on them. They're the inspirations for them. Yeah, there he is. But so it gives me a lot of, like, really cool opportunities to play around with stuff. I find basing characters on, or not basing on them, but being inspired by people I know, because people are the best inspiration for writing. And it's not about stealing somebody else's autobiography, but it's about, like, letting someone, like, into, like, letting you into their voice, and giving them an opportunity to be in something that they wouldn't normally be in. So that's sort of how I write a little bit. Like, it may seem like cheating, but
No, I mean, it's because my boyfriend's a writer, and we were talking about this before the show, and it's been hard actually during this pandemic to get not inspiration, but new material in some ways, like new voices, because like he loves getting those experiences. He worked at Absinthe in Vegas for
Oh, okay.
over a year, I
Oh, so
think, total.
he was inundated with news
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God, he would every time we would talk, he would tell me so many stories of these of humanity in its worst and its most bizarre. Like both the performers had their stories, the patrons had their like it was, but it was so rich because like the real world is always so fascinating if you listen and know where to look that like of course it's going to inform writing. It has to.
Mm-hmm.
Like writing can be fantastic, but it has to have those core things and moments and people that it sort of springs from. Or I feel like it loses touch with what attracts us in some ways. So yeah, this last year he's like been like stuck here, and it's like other than like I'll throw weird stuff at him occasionally, and I go out into the world and give him some of my feedback. And then like this yesterday, we drove out into the greater Seattle area to like go on like a little sort of adventure-y type, dropping presents and cards off and whatnot.
Oh.
But it's been tough. But so yeah, I totally get it. And you draw so much from the people in your life and everything. So, um,
So I'm doing a new book in 2021 that's very much inspired by somebody, and he's actually in our chat. So
oh,
his name is Carlos, and it's the reason why we're waiting a little bit to release this is that Vinny and I are working on a brand new book. It's a western. It's a modern western. It's a queer western bank heist graphic novel called Tommy Dakota and the Shootout at the Burgundy 10.
is there any art from it you might want to share?
Sure, I think I sent it to you.
I was gonna say I just want to make sure before I say, oh yeah, do you want me to share that thing?
Yeah, they're initial character sketches.
All right, I'm pulling it up.
But yeah, I had as I was writing it, like I mean, Carlos is the inspiration to it, but I mean, I have all of these wonderful pictures of Carlos, so I sent them to Vinny, and Vinny has been drawing him nonstop. And that's our initial character sketch for this western. It's a down and dirty western, and we're gonna kickstart it in about March, late March.
Nice.
So so my 2021 play is pretty full.
No, that's still more stuff to talk about. But like, so let's stop there for a second. So I had a pleasure to interview Vinny Rico back when we did the four-way back when we had the four-way 5-way, I guess. Wow.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Vinny is fantastic. Also Vinny is in the chat.
Hey, Vinny.
Of course he is. Delightful.
Hi, my friend.
And yeah, delightful artist. So I was reading Dash and I realized something. I think I talked a little bit about this, but when I started reading issue, was it 4 he picked up from Dash? 5. So like, the styles between him and Delia are different, but not that. In fact, when I saw an early piece that Delia did, I forgot, it was somewhere in the trade. I'm not gonna look it up. I was like, oh my gosh. It was like the earlier piece, I think, she had a little bit more of sort of that, I don't want sketchy. Saying sketchy makes it sound sketchy. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
But the rough pencils that give it this lovely like character, I think.
I love
yeah, me too. Like Delia did that at one point, and then I think kind of like refined it a bit into a little more straightforwardy, kind of like what I would see in a lot of other cartooning that I've followed. But I didn't see that similarity. So Vinny is perfect. Like I love him as a follow on to Delia, but also as a voice that you're getting to tell new stories in. And I think the Western is going to give him such a cool opportunity with that world and that style. The marriage there that's great.
The what's great about it is that I feel like they complement each other, and that Julie and I like we both like it was a collaboration of the three of us working together. But for like a year or two, like we had all kind of been in our separate little corners, and communicating through email, and now that the Kickstarter came out and we did that, it was that interview that we all did with you. We are now we're now all zooming with each other all the time, and it's been so wonderful. It was like this crack in the the communication was so formal, and then we cracked it, and now. I mean, we the last time we zoomed for like 3.5 hours talking about not just Dash, but all sorts of personal things, and just like kind of keeping up with each other and checking on each other, and it's really been this year, in that respect for me has been just the best. It's just been the best part of it.
I love so it's I'm thrilled, first of all, that it was because of our little 5-way. Our little orgy prompted so much follow-on collaboration. No, but I agree, and like doing these every Monday for just the usually me and whoever I'm talking to has been so nice. And then doing Comic Book Bears every Thursday, I talk to Bill and Steve and our other former co-hosts quite often off the video stream, and so that's whatever. But that's very asymmetric. Conversationalized when it's just text based, it's very weird, and I don't know.
Right.
I'm not a huge it probably drives people crazy because I'll take forever to respond sometimes if I'm not at my computer or if I'm anyway, doesn't matter. But when you're on a video call like Zoom or Teams or this type of thing, it is so it's not perfect. It's not like having drinks or whatever. I met you back when I was up in New Jersey for a wedding, and I don't think we had a whole long time to hang out, but it was still
it was still
fun and much more more engaging, I think, than this. But in this time, and especially with distance, because Vinny's in Mexico, right?
Yes.
And Delia's in Portland. No, I always want to say Portland. Tacoma.
She's in Tacoma.
My neighbor to the south that I will hopefully very, very soon in 2021, hopefully get to go down and say hi to in person. But anyway, that we can kind of continue talking and collaborating is through this medium is so great. I again, 2020. I think is the year where these online communities, I said this on Flame On's most probably forthcoming episode, 2020, best thing that can happen is these communities, Discord. Yeah, you're a part of our Flame On Discord, like that group that just shares things with each other and has these great dialogue. It's been there, but people weren't dialed into it because they didn't need it because they had their social outlets in real life.
Right.
And now we have, growing forward, our real life again, and in some cases reconnect, physically meeting up with our friends from online. It's always been a thing, but more people are going to have that experience, and then having it as just a background channel that you can kind of always anyway. Good things to look at that have come out of 2020. I'm always happy to focus on that because there's so much of the not that
we're being so positive.
We are.
Happy solstice.
Happy solstice.
So positive.
Let's talk about something negative. Let's talk about politics now.
Please don't.
No, we should talk about Last Jedi now.
We can talk about Last Jedi. I'm down for that conversation.
Let me. I gotta not pay the bills here, but I gotta keep up with our chat here. Yeah. So Jill, I think did we already say hi?
Hi, Jill.
Courtney also, I think, in relation to your announcement. Yes, very awesome. I also missed this earlier, and I don't want to not give you credit because I think the beard is amazing, and I would highly recommend you keeping that as long as you can because I think it's very distinguished. You got a little gray, me. It looks great. It looks good, though. I think it looks good on you.
I appreciate that. There's now a lobbying committee because I've been threatening to shave it and.
If Carlos and I need to band together to help, whatever we need to do here, let's keep this going. But yeah, he also is, and again, I'm so excited to get to see your plays performed. But they speak volumes of who you are as a person. So that's no judgment.
No judgment. Yeah, and they're all about really disparate people, and then really messed up people too. But the thing about the plays, and I think the thing I like to write about is people who need hope, and people who are in a dark place and trying to get out of it, and not just like the plays, but like this arc of Dash gets, like I said, it's a lot darker, you know, and but I think at the end of it there's more hope and there's more light than there is in this one. So, and we exploded a lot of heads in this one, so there's
you told me issue 6 was messed up, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Oh my god, it was messed up. There was lots of gore.
There's lots of blood, so it's a lot darker than that. Stop it, you.
I'm glad to hear. So Courtney, Carlos, me. I'm guessing Vinny as well. I would think Vinny would be on board with this. All of us are like pro beard here.
My dear friend Jay, who I actually saw him today, which was again, you know, weird seeing somebody, but yeah, he was lobbying for it too. So I was like, goodness, I guess this is a thing I got to do.
It is a thing you have to do. Yes, and Carlos, we agree. Vinny and Dave together, they do make magic. Oh, I'm glad you're the inspiration. This is good. I'm very excited. Oh, also Jill is pro beard.
Just keep
piling on here, pro beard, and you know, you don't have to let it get like this. I actually think that the best beard I ever had was something just a little longer than where you're at. So you should grow it out to just a nice uniform.
Really?
Fill it in a little bit and then stop. COVID beard is other than for Santa purposes, it's not necessary.
I mean, like everyone gets a COVID look. I mean, I think I had a COVID look too. I mean, everyone, COVID.
What was your COVID look? I don't remember you posted. You must not have shared it with anyone.
Oh no, I gained so much weight. Another thing for this year that has been weird is I've had a lot of medical issues that have popped up, which has been like kind of keeping me at my desk, which is great. But the medical issues have not been great. But so when COVID started, I gained too much weight, and then I ended up having to have surgery, and I lost so much weight.
Oh my gosh!
So that's how we do it. That's how you do it. To get rid of the COVID weight, just go have a surgery. It'll knock it out, no problem. Knock it out.
I've been having some weird medical. Nothing official yet, and I'm kind of like, I don't want to go to the doctor, but I'm like, I probably should go to the doctor.
Go to the doctor.
Yeah. It's been better lately, but it's like anyway,
good.
All that I'm saying is,
I'm glad it's been better.
I mean, for now, it's weird. It's weird. I'll tell you offline. We're not gonna talk about my medical issues, but anyway, long story short, yes, the weight thing. I just saw a friend of mine yesterday, and he's in Seattle. I saw him in person. And though, masked up, of course, he lost 70 pounds over COVID. And I was asking him, how did you do this? I don't think I've gained a lot because my day job is pretty sedentary. So I'm not doing that much more. But whatever. How did you 70 pounds? He's all he had to really do was focus on his own, internalize his own commitment to his health and make that a priority. And then just start walking, doing the things you need to do, and it followed. So it's again, it's manifesting. It's you just got to commit to it. It's not always going to work out, but it will never work out if you don't put it out there, right?
So something I heard Mark Duplass say about writing, which was and this is kind of changed things for me, is that you should write in your workout clothes. And why should you write in your workout clothes? Because when you get stuck, when you get and you're up against something, get up, walk around, do sit-ups, take a walk down the street, just do anything, and that will, that'll get you there. And that's why there's been so many pictures of me in a tank top on it. Because that's all I do now is I stopped doing it. I actually tried to dress up and write, but it didn't work out. So
I'm listening to you, and I'm also trying to figure out why.
Okay, you're having technical issues, but I like the lighting. It's I like this. This is nice, Brian.
I mean, it's bad for video quality, but it
looks great. It looks great. It's so mysterious.
I don't even know if I could fix it either. It's nothing is just fucking work. Anyway, whatever. I got my one light.
I'm sorry.
No, I got my one spotlight here. I'll just have to
Oh, I feel
get
like I
my.
should do the same. Should I do the same? Should I do? I mean,
This is the after hours part of the video. I love that suggestion. That I know that. Okay, so I'm a programmer by trade. Like I do, coding and whatever bullshit IT stuff. It is absolutely the case that when you hit a brick wall, whether it's creative or problem solving or whatever, yeah, you got to get up. You got to clear your context. You got to just walk around. You got to do something else, and you let your background processes do their thing. It's like sleeping on an idea. It's the same idea. You turn off the prefrontal cortex or whatever,
Right.
and
Right.
just
Yeah.
let your limbic system, let the lizard brain do its dance, and then you'll figure it out. That's the beauty of it. It's kind of amazing. So I love that idea. I'm gonna share that with my boyfriend because I know he's always
Yeah.
collecting great tips, and he loves Mark Duplass. We talked about this earlier. So yeah, no, that's fantastic. So okay, so we've done I think a pretty good job. The only thing we haven't talked about is your writing class that's coming up, and I
Yeah.
actually had a tab pulled up. Allen's Lane Arts Center is, I
It's
believe,
through there.
and it's online, right?
Yeah, so it doesn't matter where you're at, like you can take this class. I'm doing two classes. I'm doing a playwriting class, which is kind of finding your own inspiration because playwriting is hard right now because like you kind of write to you're hoping for one day for a production, and right now we don't know when that's going to happen. But we're going to focus on what you can do about that and what just getting there, just getting those words on the page, and then. Kind of similar is I'm doing a graphic novel writing class. And it's really kind of getting that pitch out of your head that you've had in there, that idea that like, oh, I should make this a comic book. Well, let's make it a comic book, right? Even if we don't have the artist, we can get that on paper.
So I am really tempted to take your class because I have written one comic in my life with my dear friend who I don't know if you know, Jeremy Owen.
I don't.
He's a delightful cartoonist and does pen design and all kinds of other good stuff. But I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think you, from what I know of you, are a really good educator because you have a good empathy and you have a good sense of explaining and listening and then re-explaining as needed, which is a key educator property, right? So I'm really tempted. So you do it online. It starts. When does it start? February?
Oh, it starts toward the end of January.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, I should totally know that date. I think it's I have to look at
It's how often? Like once a week?
It's once a week. Once a week. I believe it starts the week of the 18th. Or the week of the 25th. I could be wrong, but I think so. The playwriting class is going to be on Monday nights, and the graphic novel writing class is going to be on Wednesday nights. They're an hour and a half each, and come on down. We'll have a good time. We'll make some stuff.
How many weeks is it?
8.
8 weeks. Okay. Yeah, because I think like what I saw. It's funny with this COVID. I mean, and COVID era is going to go into the new year. So I think if you're going to do anything like this, the spring. You're still probably safe for winter and spring, I think, with the vaccine rollout. It's already been a whole shit show, right?
Has it been? I haven't really seen that. I feel like they don't have as much as they think they do.
They don't, and that's the problem. But we'll talk about that in a second. So COVID, there's going to be time. You're still going to not be traveling much. You're still going to be probably not doing as much out in the world unless you're in Florida because, Florida's fucking crazy. You should definitely take this. I really am. I'm not just saying this. I am actually because I've needed what I like about these classes because I'm taking a Japanese class. 'Cause I'm trying to learn Japanese. It's not that the educators obviously are a huge part of it. You guys, I mean, being a former educator myself, like we're the facilitators for the learning. I mean, you're going to get a lot of good material out of us. And our curriculum, or whatever we're doing, but the real thing that people don't realize about taking classes and like all these, it's a lot of it's just that commitment you make by paying money, whatever it is, by giving yourself like that time that you have to be there to stay involved and to get your money's worth. You're gonna put something down, like you said. You're gonna put words on paper. And then at the end of 8 weeks, you can look back and go, okay, yeah, I spent this much time, but I've got this. And then whatever you do with it's whatever you do with it. But like that would not necessarily have happened if you hadn't committed to the class, you know?
I mean, and I think that's the greatest thing about, education. I mean, I just this year got my MFA in playwriting and screenwriting. So, and have taken a class since, because it jumpstarts you a little bit, you know? That's a little better. That's a little bit, or no?
No, I was unplugging it because it just was making me mad, and I'm not sure if it overheated or what the
hell. It's a good spook. Like it's a good look. I like the look. I really like the look.
Well, so now that we paid the bill, so to speak, we can go really off on our tangents. Unless people in the audience have questions, obviously, if you're lurking around, and I still see 11 viewers, so whoever you are, feel free to say hi. But otherwise, we're going to go off on tangents, and I want to start with Last Jedi because. So, and I think about this only because I just finished The Mandalorian season 2, as I know you did as well, right?
Yes.
We can talk about Mandalorian. We certainly can talk about Mandalorian. Obviously, spoilers apply, although I'm okay with also not spoiling it because we just talked about it on Flame On this weekend, and I actually think that if you go into the end of Mandalorian not knowing the ending, it's better. I did know because somebody fucking screenrant.com or one of these sites.
Oh.
Day after it came out, Friday, said so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, you fucker. Anyway. But it was still enjoyable. So you liked the end of the Mandalorian, right?
Right. I stayed up till, so it drops at like midnight West Coast time there. But it drops here at 3 a.m. Yeah. I definitely was up at 3 a.m. watching that because I did not want to be spoiled because I knew something was huge was going to happen. And literally, like a minute after, people are spoiling it. I actually posted. I said, please don't do this. Like, don't do this. It's there are nobody I know is awake. Please don't do this.
How was it not knowing?
I knew I had assumptions. Oh, there you go.
I don't know what just happened. I just looked at it. Anyway, yeah.
Your Jedi, it was your Jedi powers. Is that what it was?
That's right. So you knew something was happening at the end. You knew.
Yeah, I mean, like there was a couple things that could have happened, and the thing that happened, I think, was the best. Well, you know what? I'm gonna just talk about it as spoilers.
All right, spoilers. Don't go off, watch it, come back. If this is preserved for all time, it's live right now. But like I said, you can come back later. It'll all be there.
Right. So, I knew it was gonna be. I mean, I didn't know, but I had a feeling it was gonna be him. But if the only way we could accept the child leaving was with, and we're doing spoilers, right? You just said spoilers.
Yeah, yes. The spoilers.
Okay, here we go. Was with Luke and R2, and it had to be the two of them because, we're talking about Last Jedi. Like, we got a little trust issue now with Luke, so R2 had to be there.
Why? Okay, so I don't disagree with you, but why did R2 have to be there?
He was the original cute, and he's meeting the new cute in the Star Wars universe.
Fair. I never really thought of R2, even though he is, because obviously, like, what's the ball droid, BB-8?
Yeah,
like,
BB-8.
Yeah, it's cute. They're cute. And then the newest one at the end of, or the last one, Rise of Skywalker or whatever, it was...
Dio.
Yeah. They're cute, but I guess I think Baby Yoda, I think Ewoks. I think, really? Squishy, emotional, furball love, even though Yoda's not, or Baby Yoda, or Grogu, whatever, isn't furry. I think, I don't know, I segregate it. It's not good. In my brain, I'm segregating droids. I should be anti-segregation against droids here. But, they're both cute. You're right. I totally didn't see it, but I see it now. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's I guess that's just a superficial reasoning. But I think he needed another, I don't know, another little like kid or something. And there's nothing to say that they didn't actually know each other, because now we know what Grogu's backstory is and we know what R2's backstory is. And I was just in my comic book shop, and there was a huge debate happening amidst the employees, because they were trying to say, was R2's mind wiped or was it not? Whatever you want to, but most likely R2 had run into him if they were all at the Jedi Temple together. So they could have known, we don't know what they said to each other. So it could have been, hello, old friend.
So I'm okay. So that I will leave for the deep cut podcasts about that's too much even for me. What do you think about Grogu's going with Luke, knowing that Luke ends up basically losing them all, or some group of them after Ben goes crazy? I'm a little sad, because as much as I like Grogu potentially getting trained, the implication of Last Jedi, and heck, even the first one, what was the first one called? The first of the new movies,
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Thank you. Things don't go well for Luke's school of Jedi.
They don't go well, but and I'm totally showing my Star Wars nerd card here, but you have to remember, Ben was born on the forest moon of Endor right when the Death Star blew up. So it was when he was 20 or something is when he went nuts there.
Oh, so we got time.
We got time. Okay. Yeah, we're 5 years. There's no way that Grogu is not coming back to Mando. That's not happening.
No. I think you're right. I believe you're right. I don't think they're going to just go, oh yeah, look, he just goes off and bad things. But
also remember, how much money are they making on the thing right now?
100%. But it still kind of casts that in a tragic sense, because you get the idea in the new trilogies that the Jedi aren't really a thing at all. And so if let's say Grogu gets force trained, he doesn't become full Jedi, he might get his powers and sort of training and sort of be like the Ahsoka Tano, not quite a Jedi, or former Jedi, or whatever that is. Right. What do they call her? A white saber Jedi, whatever that, or no, gray Jedi.
Technically not a Jedi, but I'm really glad they didn't get into all that nonsense.
Well, no, right, and it's a really finer point. It's saying, are you a Protestant or are you a Catholic? You're a Christian, whatever, fine.
Yeah, right.
But and that's gonna send some people off into Crazyville that I just.
And guess what? It's okay. It's okay. I mean, but one of her most famous lines is, "I am not a Jedi." Yes. So that's one of her most famous lines. So no, but I'm glad they kind of walked around it.
Well, and it's a way to sort of so you have the prequels, and was it Order 58? Is that the right number?
66.
66.
Yeah.
Of course it's 66. Why would I have thought it was any other number? There was another 6 in there they just lopped off.
Yeah.
So the Jedi are wiped out. So you say that, and then yet Ahsoka Tano stays alive. And oh, by the way, there's probably these other Jedi and Sith that are still out there. It's a weird thing, and it's a big universe. So you can sort of make the conceit that, oh yeah, Jedi, Sith, they're out there, they're doing their thing, but it doesn't affect the story we're telling with the Skywalker sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
And same thing with Grogu and Mando. They can go off and have wacky adventures after the training, after whenever they reconvene. And it doesn't necessarily portend that they're going to be. I guess what I'm fighting is they're going to meet a tragic end, so that they don't influence the new trilogy. But really, it's a big universe, and so Mandalore can go off and do its own fucking thing,
right?
And it doesn't have to affect the Republic and the Empire, First Order, or whatever.
We still don't know where Ahsoka was all throughout the original trilogy. We don't know, and they haven't explained that. So. They can absolutely coexist. I mean, technically, the Razor Crest shows up in episode 9 at the end, where all the ships show up. The Razor Crest is there. So, and that thing got blown up. So.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, that's weird. But I mean, whatever. That's where it could get real. So Last Jedi. So yeah, I agree with you overall about the ending, the Mando. The only thing let's talk about this real quick. Did you have any problems with the last episode though, structurally, and the beats that were sort of supposed to be kind of building to Luke's arrival? There was a lot of waiting. There was a lot of looking at the door. there was a lot of just pregnant pauses, and
Yeah.
just I was a little frustrated because up until that point the episode was pretty interesting, and then it just got like really dull and kind of like, are we saving money here? Are we just we don't have good ideas? Like, other than Giancarlo's little thing, which
Yeah.
he's fantastic,
Yeah. Watch
but
it back.
also I don't know. It was a little disappointing in that segment. But then you get Luke showing up and doing the badass stuff, which I was saying to my boyfriend. I'm like, he hasn't had this at all ever in live action, in comics, whatever, and even in Last Jedi with his badass Zen astral projection thing. Not quite the same, right? So this is really cool. Like, this is not only parallel with Rogue One, but also with his father, right?
Beautiful parallel.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. People called it right away. I completely agree. But, like, you don't get to see Luke being peak badass Jedi, like, ever in live action. So seeing this, yeah, I love that.
I think, to your Last Jedi point, and this is probably going to lose me a follower or two. I actually think it strengthens the more we see this stuff like this. And I'm not advocating for Luke to be in every episode or whatever. I mean, 10 minutes here or there in a season, great for me. But the more we see stuff like this, the more where he ends up and his actions at the end of The Last Jedi, they make more sense. You know, because we hadn't seen Luke at that point as an audience. We hadn't seen Luke in years and years and years and years, and he was only in, like, he didn't even have a line in Force Awakens, right? So we waited for this, and then the director, who is a great director, like, gave us who Luke really is, which is like, I'm laying down my weapon. I'm not gonna fight you. I am going to redeem you. And I'm going to redeem you. Like, through, like, this is the way. So Luke shows up here at the end of Mando, and there's all of the dark troopers. There's nobody in them, so he just goes to town.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
There's no human in them. Goes to town
by using the GI Joe ish element, like where they're all Cobra soldiers, but then the laser beams. So who cares? Like the prequels conceit that, oh, we're fighting the droids, hack them, slash them, doesn't matter. They're just droids. Which
that's right. It's the same conceit.
It's weird because then you go, but I love R2D2. I love BB-8 later. It's a weird, like, anyway, but whatever. Be that as it may. All droids matter. That's all I'm going to say. But, like, I think you're right. I think one of the biggest disappointments for the new trilogy is I wanted Luke earlier. I wanted to see badass samurai Jedi.
Right.
Which, by the way, you really don't ever get until I guess maybe sort of badass Sith samurai in Rogue One, whatever. But you really don't get badass Jedi samurai stuff. And live action cartoons, it's there. Like Genndy Tartakovsky, his original Clone Wars. Some of the most amazing like Jedi stuff. And then the Clone Wars with Dave Filoni's Clone Wars and all that. Great stuff. But yeah, live action, you don't get it until Mandalorian, when Ahsoka Tano takes on that Imperial governess person. Yeah, thanks. Oh, no. Don't get me in trouble. Don't get me in trouble with that. No, yes, I'm totally just, yeah.
But it's like, it's so easy to understand. So I think the older it gets, right? The Last Jedi. I think the older it gets, you get away from the hype of it, and I think, it starts to, for me at least, become, if not the best one of the new sequels, at least the one that tried to do something. Maybe it didn't succeed. I mean, I did not need to see a spaceship just go like
oh my god, okay,
space race. So, don't get me started on it. I will.
The only reason, so that was very similar to the whole waiting for the droid thing to break through, which is a classic trope.
But they did it for 2.5 hours, Brian. You're talking about like 30 seconds to a minute.
You're right. And the adventure on that one planet with the horse creature gambling and then the slavery thing, I could take that whole thing out and just gone. Who cares? We're fine. But I do think the whatever her name was, Holdo. Is
Yeah,
that what it was?
yeah.
Her sacrifice and maneuver to do the thing, and then Leia's whole Mary Poppins thing.
I don't mind that because
No,
yeah, I didn't mind that.
I think that those two beats, the going into warp or going into hyperspace or whatever, and then slicing, like that beat in the movie, I audibly gasped.
Why they would remember that at the time they were like, like the sound did not go out. This is part of the. I'm like, really? We're doing this, but
Like people are stupid. But yeah, that's this 2020 has also taught me that humanity is horrible and people are stupid. But whatever.
we're being positive tonight. We're being
We are, except for these little, But no. I think it's the payoff, and is it worth the journey? Because again, like you said, the very slow, like it's like, come on, it's not. It might make sense in like sort of real world. I don't know, not even. But the payoff is still like,
Yeah, well, that's my point is like if your antagonist can't catch up with you like that, then what? How deadly really are they?
Well, no,
you spend the whole movie like going at it. Oh my gosh,
fucking light. I think there's the forces trying to tell me something. No. So James adds here, yeah, Hondo's sacrifice makes no sense in a universe where droids exist. 100% right.
But all maybe droids matter. So.
But all droids matter, right? So she believes that and doesn't wanna. And hello, that is understood. But thank you for specifying. I really don't understand.
I like this look. I mean, if I wasn't worried about like something falling over, I would adjust it.
I don't even know what's going on. I don't know. So, Last Jedi. Here's what I like. Let me tell you a little bit, and you tell me like where you're at in your life. I think we both were in a period of our lives where things were a little dynamic with our existence. Mm-hmm. That was the year that I was coming to terms with the end of a relationship, and coming to terms with the ending of just my life in Orlando.
Wow.
And there was this, and other things too. And there was this lovely part about what Ben Solo was saying to Rey in that weird long distance teledildonics sort of relationship. Produced by the Snoke, now we know Palpatine clone thing.
Snoke Palpatine. Whatever. So,
And also Luke and his clinging to the sacred texts, right? And then the Yoda lightning bolt, which, side note, have you seen My Stick by Bad Lip Reading, which is a follow-on to Seagulls?
I have. Yes, I have. It's been a while. I know I've definitely seen that.
Those videos, whenever I need a pick-me-up to make me smile, like Seagulls is still the best. Yoda singing about the seagulls and poking them and all bad lip reading to Empire is the best. But My Stick is also pretty great because it's Last Jedi. Anyway, long story short, the idea that we have to sometimes burn our lives to the ground to reinvent ourselves, to move on, to find creativity, to renew ourselves. It was a very important lesson for me at that time when it came out. I really took it in a way that other people probably were just like, whoa, whatever. But like, sacred cows, like you just, there are things in your life that sometimes you don't realize, but they're holding you back, and you have to, whether it's your choice or others' choice for you, you have to sometimes just shed that skin and move on.
Which is a yeah, no, I mean, I think that's like the best part of it. I think it's my favorite Yoda scene of the entire saga. I defy you to tell me that scene's I get teary eyed when I watch it. I mean, like, it's great, and he's a puppet and wonderful. Like, yes. Come on, like that's what it's about. That's why we have a sequel trilogy, because those are the issues that we want to deal with. Where they dealt with in the best way, that's up to whoever. But yeah, but yeah, thanks for sharing that with me.
Well, no, I know it has resonance, and I know I'm not the only one. So I didn't know if you had any resonance with that. Obviously, it's something I think we all in our lives as we get older. It's just like every now and again, every few years. Like I think about Doctor Who and sort of the regeneration cycle, and again, that's a total story conceit that made sense to help them keep the show going.
Okay.
But part of me took that in some weird way as like a thing that just every so often, like what was it someone said once, like every relationship has like a 7 year, well, it's a 7 year itch, right? And like every so often, whether it's 7 years, whatever, you have to sort of sit back and go, all right, am I still happy? Are we, is this still a good thing? And this isn't just like partners, this is friends, work, whatever your organizations. Honestly, I think a lot of us get involved in nonprofits and other volunteer organizations. There's value in stepping back from those too every so often and going, is this really helping me? Am I being as helpful and as big a part of it as I should be? Just recognizing those moments and then finding that time to sort of go, I did that, it's over, I'm going to move on. Like it's an important thing that I think in our society we enshrine like this idea that we don't ever want to like leave things, change is bad. Anyway, all of that. I think it's a Buddhist sort of thing. I took Last Jedi as a very Buddhist look at Star Wars, which is already pretty Buddhist.
Yeah, I mean, which goes back to our earlier conversation about Star Wars being like a complete analogy for Christianity. Yeah, no, what change is inevitable, and it's what causes almost all of human conflicts, right? Right? Like something doesn't happen in a movie or a play or a comic that doesn't involve the something changing, right? So that's, and how we accept that is the trauma.
Yes.
But that's how I see it. By the way, we were not planning this, but there you go. I'm having my Last Jedi mug while there's my little porgs.
I love the pork so much. I know people were so pissed off at them, but when I found out why they did it, like what the genesis of that was those puffins that were there in production. Like, it's perfect. It's elegant. Like, of course that's going to be annoying to CG out altogether. Oh, you can make them into little CG adorableness that you can sell merch with? Yeah. Yeah. I love it. All right, so Last Jedi, we beat that to death.
I could keep going, but we wanted people to keep watching it. So.
Well, I mean, no, it's funny. I sit there and watch the numbers, and I mean, we were up to in the mid-teens when it was talking about your stuff, and then, but that doesn't matter.
Oh boy,
what are you excited about, like in terms of like movies, TV, whatever, other than Star Wars, obviously? Like, what else is giving you either inspiration or you're just really into right now?
Honestly, like the reason why I'm so into Star Wars right now, it's like a big tentpole thing. And like we talked about, I have like so many irons in the fire. So I'm I need a big tentpole thing, that or Batman. Those are always my two huge tentpole things that I go back to, just because like I can just turn my brain off, because I don't really ever plan to try to write for either one of them. But there's so many things that I need to check out. We did just watch the on Thanksgiving, but I can't stop thinking about it. The greatest the holiday special with Dan Levy and Aubrey Plaza.
Happiest Season.
Oh my goodness, it was so generically wonderful. It was everything generically wonderful I needed. Like, we were watching it. It was, also Aubrey Plaza just walked out of the door with that movie.
Fucking Aubrey Plaza. I love her so much. I love her back from Scott Pilgrim, when she was just like the friend of the ex-girlfriend, I think. And she's just like cursing out Scott, and they bleep it, even though it doesn't, like, whatever, who cares, even in the R-rated, because it's just funnier that way. Yeah. I love her to death. It's so funny. I love everything she shows up in, but Parks and Rec. I don't know. I never got as into that as I know a lot of my friends did, and
that's one of that outside of Mad Men, it's my favorite show.
Really? So I need to give it another chance, because I watched the first season, and I felt like people have told me the first season was definitely like, it was okay, but it wasn't like
you actually don't need to watch the first season. at all. People say don't just start watching when uh, Adam
Adam
Scott.
Scott.
But no, I think the second season has a lot of really good. The second season has a lot of jokes that they build off of. Yeah, no, there's something about what I like about it is that there are people trying to do something that's good, and it's not necessarily just about themselves. And while there are mean aspects to it for sure, it's not necessarily as mean as The Office, which I think can just for me gets really mean, like unnecessarily mean. And The Office's thing is it's a little cringy, and that's why it's funny, and it is, and it's brilliant in many aspects. But the cringiness for me of Parks and Rec, and maybe because I've seen every episode about 20 times, like it's not there as much. Like you're cringing, like you're not cringing with the people. It's just funny. Like I can't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's just like it's too much anger.
Oh yeah. No, I think you're right. There's an earnestness and a love of small government, and local government, I should say, that bleeds through. And so I've watched like random throughout the seasons without any context, and I love Nick Offerman's probably one of my favorite actors and comedians and even performers. Like he's just fantastic. I mean, if you ever have a chance to hear him interviewed, he's so much more interesting than you ever would think. Like you hear his childhood and then kind of like going to school for drama, even though his parents wanted him to be like a farmer, and him reconciling masculinity and arts. And he's a complicated, amazing guy.
Right.
And everybody knows him as a stoic figure, and it's like nothing could be further from the truth.
But like he does like carpentry and all that stuff, and that all came from like what I also love about it, and this is where I relate to it a lot, right? So like it's all about like kind of it's about relationships, but it's like the core of it's about friendship, which is kind of what one of the things I write about the most. It also is like the writers really took inspiration from the actors and then put it into the characters, and that we were talking about that earlier, and like because Ron Swanson is like. Sure, he's like a libertarian, but they didn't write him as like an expert carpenter. That's Nick Offerman. There's so many things that Nick Offerman like inserted into that character that kind of have blended them now. I don't know if you saw the movie, and it's a beautiful soundtrack too. He did this movie where he was a musician. His daughter was going to college.
No, I know what you're talking about. Bright Things or Young and Free or something.
I can't believe I'm blanking. But I do this. I don't really remember like titles and things like that. Unless I'm like in dealing with it every day. But the soundtrack is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's actually by one of my Keegan DeWitt, I believe his name is. He's one of my favorite kind of like people to write to all of his stuff.
Heart Beats Loud or Hearts Beat Loud. Yes,
great movie. No one saw it. Watch it. It's
on Hulu. If you want to watch it, it's on Hulu.
And he plays all the instruments, and he just
yeah. No, I love Nick so much. I anytime I get a chance to hear him talk, just as himself and hear his stories, he did like a tour in 2018. And I missed it because I was traveling myself all over the place, and so it just didn't line up with anything. But I love that he is that too. I love his wife, Megan Mullally, which a lot of people don't realize that they're together, although probably
and
more now.
She's in Parks and Rec. Did you know that?
I knew that he was in Will and Grace at least twice.
Yeah.
I don't think I realized she was in, but that makes sense. Yeah.
She plays his second ex-wife, and it's amazing.
Their Instagram. Oh, I actually haven't read their autobio, but they did their own autobio, kind of like their story, and it sounds amazing. And I have Audible credits. I should freaking get that because I bet you they narrate it. But yeah. Anyway, so Parks and Rec. We got off that from TV you liked. No, how did we get to that? Oh, Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah, Aubrey Plaza.
The happiest season. So I want to go back to that. I love what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely do not agree at all with the way it plays out. At like maybe the third act, I think is just, I don't know. I think that, and my boyfriend loved it. So and he understood my problems with it, but I think it worked better for him for what it was and what it
Okay.
needed to be. Where, like you said, how did you describe it? Like the
It's wonderfully generic.
wonderfully generic. Yes.
I
And
think that's what it's supposed to be.
I don't want that. Especially from queer stories. I don't want that at all. I think a mature, more realistic perspective on that, like Mackenzie, it's not Mackenzie Phillips. That's not her name. But the daughter of the family that they're with,
Yes.
played by, it's Mackenzie Phillips, isn't it? Mackenzie Phillips.
I didn't.
That from *Halt and Catch Fire*, which is an amazing series, which I highly recommend.
Yeah, I need to.
She is a horrible person, and I understand her because that's me in a lot of ways. Like, I know that I had a hard time coming out to my parents. And in fact, I was outed to my parents, so I didn't get to come out. But I also didn't bring a boyfriend home and not tell them, and then deny them when I knew they were also hurting. So there's like levels of, I get it, I understand, and then there's that crisis moment that she utterly fails, and in such a spectacular way. Right. And then not a vampire, what's her name? Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
Bella.
Yeah.
She has every right to be like, peace out, I'm done. And the fact that Aubrey, not only do they have a lovely date seeing Jinx and Dela, which I love that they're in it. But like that whole thing to me, it just doesn't ring true. Though I understand long term, and you're going to eventually make peace. I think if they had just done it in a little different way, as not as compressed, but you need to be because you want to, have a happy ending, right?
Right.
And I think that's where the generic thing comes in, right? I think that's my heart. I had the hardest problem with that whole thing,
I found something interesting that you were saying about queer stories and being generic. And I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that we've had enough generic queer stories? That are on, like, I guess, that get that much level of publicity?
No. I 100% say no, right? Not yet. But this does get to an interesting area where the story doesn't have to be, even if it's a queer story, it doesn't have to be about the queerness.
Right.
My boyfriend and I we talk about this a lot, where we love stories where there's a queer, whether it's gay, lesbian, or trans, especially trans, where that's not the point. Right. They do the thing, and so what? It's just they're just another character. And is it less special? Is it a little less, oh, well, look, this is a queer story. Yeah, but it's okay because that's life. Like, I'm kind of like both minds of it, right? Like, I'm okay with that. I want that, actually. But I also, like, don't want that ending to be so generic. I really want to hear something different. And not just different. I want to hear something that's believable. And I feel like the problem I have with this movie is it's very Hallmark to a point. And as much as I get why that's a thing that you want, I mean, yeah, you tell me if you want it or not. But like, I don't want that. It's not what I feel like I relate to, resonate with, whatever.
Well, see, I got into it thinking that this was going to be a queer take on a Hallmark movie, and now there's a lot. There used to be none of them. Now it feels like that's all they're doing. But that's how I so all of the generic tropes that got thrown at me, I was cool with it. If this was like the 5th movie with this level of cast, you know what I mean, that I've seen, or the 10th movie, or and they didn't take the chances or the risks, then I would get it. But I was like, this is and this is crazy, right? Like, it's 2020, right? Like, this is crazy, right? It's like this, like, we're still at this level, right, of queer storytelling, where I'm actually looking forward to the generic, genericness of. And maybe I'm just. Thanks for being my therapist, Brian.
I'm happy. No, but you're right, because it normalizes it. Having the generic means it can be just whatever, normal. It's all part of the same. Who cares? But I don't like that with the straight stories. So why would I like that with a queer story that I have more relevant resonance with? Like I think that's the thing. I think if she had made a bold choice, whether it was Mackenzie, whatever her name, like standing up and in that moment of crisis and not failing and being like, yes, this is my girlfriend. So what? This is 2020 for fuck's sake. Why is this an issue? Like that's probably the other thing. Is like I know because my family's religious and I was there in the 90s. And I'm not saying that that's not a thing now that families deal with. I know it is. But like there's a certain amount of, my God, it's 2020. You're a politician, so what? Pete Buttigieg just ran for president. All of these queer legislature, people are being elected all over the place. RuPaul is a household name. Like, if you have a problem or if this is an issue, you need to get on with it. Like that's, So I think that was probably the initial grist that I reacted to, and then that. What's her name? I just said it. Kristen Stewart's character forgave her and allowed that to be like, oh, it's okay. It wasn't about me. It was your struggle with your family. I understand. Like, no, I don't know. I think so. So whether or not I would accept generic, if it was like better generic, like I would be okay with that. But I don't think this was like it just didn't ring true to me.
It sounds to me though, like it sounds to me that you and I had completely different expectations for this movie. I'm here, and you're like,
well, Clea Duvall is but I'm a cheerleader, and I don't think like she's someone who's not a new creator. I mean, I don't know how many movies she's directed and written. I don't even remember if she wrote this. I think she did. I think she wrote it.
Did she?
I think she at least co-wrote it with someone. I don't remember now, but and then throw Dan Levy in there. Like, okay, cool. Dan Levy's first big thing since Schitt's Creek, and yeah, it's very Dan Levy. It's a great vehicle for him. I love him. I love that he's a thing. I love that he's Eugene's son. And oh my God, this movie, seeing moments of him, I see watching Schitt's Creek, I don't see him as Eugene's son, even though they are in the story and in real life. Out of this, seeing him act,
you can see it.
I see Eugene Levy, and it's awesome because I love Eugene Levy. I've loved him since SCTV days, and this young Eugene Levy that's also queer is just awesome. I love him. I love his stuff. I love his voice. But and I think actually his stuff, his story, I mean, it's a little jokey. It's a little like look joke. Yeah. It's still fine because he's so endearing, and I think he's got it's just a great acting ability to sell that material. But I don't know. You're right though. I think you're right. Expectation management's huge, and I did have higher than.
Oh no, yeah, mine were like super low. I'm like, we're having drinks, and I need this Hallmark. I mean, like, if I leave this and they're not together, I'll throw something at freaking television. Like,
it's a holiday movie. It's an expectation. Yeah, you're right.
But the crime this movie did commit, though, I will tell you this. The crime this movie did commit to me was, and I think we can all get on board with this, is there was not a scene with Aubrey Plaza and Dan Levy. Like, they barely acknowledge each other in the movie. What are you thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you thinking? You're
really right.
What this movie needed.
No, you're right. You're right because they're brilliant together. So, related to this, I swear this is not just another tangent for tangent's sake. We just watched SNL last night. The clips.
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay. Mostly it's bad because Kristen Wiig is a great performer, but I don't think any of the material that they gave her, even if you like her classic characters, Sue or whatever, where she like can't keep a secret. There's another one in there. I forgot what the other one was, but all of them are just rote, boring. I don't care. The only sketch that was inspired was the one where it said, you know what? We've got Kristen Wiig and we've got, who's the gay guy now on the cast?
I don't know his name.
We were just talking about him last night and I can't think of his name. Anyway, I'll look it up while we're talking. They do a USO number. Okay, they're USO entertainers in that era. And they do this very modern R&B, like cheating on so-and-so, revenge sort of, like, and they acted out cross gender, like, Kristen Wiig plays the guy, or and then the other guy plays the guy. It is hilarious because they wrote the good setup, and they have some good reaction stuff too, but they let these performers do their thing and they get out of the way, and it is brilliant. It is perfect. That is what I want. Not all the time. I want smart writing too, but SNL just doesn't have a good track record for that at all.
Is it me, or so I think they're doing a great job this season. I think being like, it's not great, but I think it's great. Like, I just given the situation that we're all in, right? I feel like they're hitting laughs that like we all can kind of get along with. And I just lost my thought.
Did you just lose your light?
I definitely, I lost a little bit. Like my screen went out, but I definitely lost my thought.
Oh, you lost your thought.
Saying is the writing. No, the writing hasn't been that good, but I don't know. They've been doing stuff that I've been kind of just, I don't know. It's been very topical, and yes. It just in 2020, I just kind of been needing it.
Their topical stuff is good. Their weekend update,
of course, yeah.
I like that a lot. I think the writing there is really good. Bowen Yang is his name.
Oh yeah,
he is amazing, and I don't just mean that because he's gay. I think he brings a sensibility and a performance, especially when they do music numbers. Like, he did this one a couple weeks ago, I think, where he played a. Actually, it was with not Patrick Bateman. Bateman, what's his name? From Arrested Development.
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman, sorry. Who is also amazing, and they were doing like a lounge singer shtick outdoors because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And anyway, but Bowen Yang is great, and anytime he's involved in a sketch, I think it elevates it because he's a good performer, but he also really like makes that material work for him. Some of the other actors, somewhat fine, whatever. And then their single camera, like not live productions. Mm-hmm. Like they did one there was one other one about a teacher and this student that comes in, he wants to have an affair with her, and she's just like, fuck you, you don't even know who the presidents are, like, you're not even paying attention. Like, you're like, why would I throw away my job for an idiot 17-year-old, whatever. Good. That was pretty solid too. But like, it's hit or miss, and it's SNL's like been making the same shtick and stuff for so long, and I almost feel like it's a conscious decision to be safe. Mm-hmm. And to follow these like formulas to a illogical end, like the Sue character. I went back and we found the almost the same sketch from 7 years ago with Kristen Wiig as Sue in Christmas, and it's almost beat by beat. Like, there's a thing where she like is so freaked out she takes a food item and she puts that up on her face. Same thing here, like same parallel. There's like a plate glass window, so she's got to go through that. There's a chimney, so she's got to go through. Like, I don't know. When I perceive the formula, and it's not even a subtle thing, like, it just throws me out of it, and it makes me kind of like go, you couldn't have subverted expectations. You could have done something new. You had to play the hits,
Right.
So I don't know.
No, I sometimes, like, when I know what the formula is, I'm actually better with it. I don't know why, and maybe that going back to like the happiest season. Like, I know the formula and I wanted it, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I never actually tune into SNL. I actually just watch everything on YouTube.
Same. No, that's it. That's so funny. That's what we do. We're just like next.
It's just easier. But my friend Jay was saying to me, why would you watch something new when you could just watch something old? And know that's comforting and just be comforted by it. And I thought he was making a very good point, but then I realized he was making fun of me. So because I'll just go back to the same stuff we're talking about, like, just in general, and I have a hard time, when my brain's off, like, trying to invest in something new, because then I won't stop. Like, Like, I can't watch the first episode of a show and then not keep going. You know what I mean? If I'm able to binge it, I'm good night. See me in 2 days. So
No, and that's there's a thing about that. Like when I would be growing up, and even in college, heck, even as a young adult, I would watch the same movies. I would watch Tron, Blade Runner, Dune, almost like not every night, but I would rotate,
Hmm.
and I would fall asleep watching them. I wouldn't watch the whole things, but having them on and in the background a lot of times while whatever else I was doing was really was comforting. So I get that. That familiarity, that comfort that you get with formula based entertainment, with things you know, even if it's like, retreads or whatever. I mean, that's nostalgia, right? The reason that so many Marvel and Star Wars things are coming out are both a combination of nostalgia, but also leveraging this universe that we're so invested in. So, like, I get all of that, but I guess I'm disappointed when I see something that I want to be more than it is. Like
Hmm.
I have a higher expectation. It really is. It's expectation management. We that's
You
what
have
you called it.
Yeah, you have to go into. I mean, and sometimes I have such low expectations for things. Like I'm shocked, and then I mean, I used to have high expectations for things, like in my 20s, like all the time, to the point where my then boyfriend was like, "You really need to see something for what it is, and not what you think it should be."
Right.
And I think that helped me kind of phrase it in a way. Not that I want to give him that much credit, but it really phrased it in a way. Um, uh, to kind of, I don't know, see things for exactly for what they are, for why they're made, and why they're here, like, and what they're actually after from you as an audience member. You
and
know what I mean?
and there's value. Like I when I say all this about like SNLs, whatever, I get that exists for people that aren't me, and that seeing what they are, things for what they are, knowing that it's a Hallmark movie, like
Right.
Happiest Season. I'm not going to go in to a Dua Lipa concert and expect a symphony. Like I like Dua Lipa a lot, but I also hear what she's doing and go, okay, yeah, I hear what she's doing, and it is what it is, and I like it. So I think you're right. I think you have to sort of dial in your expectations, and sometimes it's just you're off. I mean, I've seen some horrible movies. I was actually trying to think of like the last bad movie I watched and being like, I liked whatever, and it's horrible,
Right.
but it's because I went in with such lowered expectations, like that old Adam Sandler song, I think, right? You know,
I mean, and I'm not advocating here for you and for everyone to have low expectations of. But that's not the hill I'm dying on, right? So,
but also like the form or the material
no.
fitting it. Yeah, I think my video is probably getting all jittery
What
now.
happened?
I turned the lights on and the internet went to shit. I don't know.
Oh no! Are you there?
Am I there?
Are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You probably see a frozen me.
No, I see you fine.
Oh, can you hear me?
Definitely,
Oh, okay. We're good now.
we're good.
I don't know. This happened to me the other night. I was interviewing Terry Bloss about his comics,
Yeah.
and I had to like bail in the interview at the end. Pat was on, thank God, so he could keep going, but it was bad.
I caught some of that.
Oh, good.
I didn't catch that part, but it was good.
Yeah. Oh, we went off. They went off on Drag Race, and it was fine because they met at DragCon, so they can talk Drag Race all day. And I'm like, Drag Race, I like it, but.
So here's my confession, and I don't have anything against it, but I've never really watched an episode of it. I watched an episode once, actually, with my dear friend Carlos, but that's it. Never. I mean, and it's not because I haven't had an interest. It's just because it feels like there's a lot, and this is a really bad analogy, but it works in my head. When I was younger, I didn't really get into X-Men because there was so much to it, and it felt like there was such a fan base there, and I felt like I wasn't cool enough to. And I'm not kidding you. Recently, I was sick, and I binged the whole thing of the '90s cartoon. I binged everything, and I picked up those gigantic X-Men anthologies that they're right here too.
Oh, the black and white ones or the.
No, it's like they redid them. Oh, God, they're gorgeous. The artist is escaping me.
Like from like way back, like David or John Byrne, that era.
No, not the John Byrne. Well, I'm gonna try and pull it out here.
Double stack. Oh yeah.
But
Oh,
it's
oh
Fisker.
yes.
I got all of these, and they're so amazing.
Yes.
And it's been like, so I feel like finally like I'm cool enough to do it. So like I feel like that's where I'm kind of at with Drag Race.
I would love to see Ed Piskor do the history of drag, because I think based on the hip hop one he did, and then now the X-Men, he
Yeah,
would be perfect, and he could do, like, I would love to see like a Terry Bloss or somebody else who has like a love of Drag Race do it, but Ed Piskor's stuff really boils it down and yet has its own weird sense of humor about it.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that series, and I love his stuff. If you have you read the one he did about hip hop?
I haven't, but I was like this close to buying it.
You should.
Like, yeah, I probably should.
No, 100%. You will learn so much, and it's so entertaining. I love it.
Oh,
So here's my recommendation for Drag Race for you. There's a new season coming out in like weeks. It's like the beginning of January.
okay.
Forget everything else. Don't worry. Don't listen to Drag Race fans and go, "Oh, you got to start from the beginning." No, just forget all of it. Just watch like that first episode of season 13. It's going to be a pretty big season, both because it's Drag Race and it's the American stars, which they always do a big thing for the American queens, whatever. But there's some good representation on there. We're getting our first trans man drag queen, which is exciting to
No.
see that, because RuPaul Drag Race has a history of
Yeah.
trans is hard. We don't want to deal with it, and it frustrates because drag is inherently trans. There's so much that like the drag community has not stolen, shared with, borrowed from, appropriated, whatever your right term is, from the trans community, from ballroom. Like,
Right.
to have an odd relationship with the trans community is just inherently frustrating. But beyond that, this season is going to be interesting. Clean slate. You start with 13 or 12 or however many queens it is. I think it's 13 usually. You never met. None of us know them. Like we might know them from like our local bars, but we don't know these queens. So we're all on a level playing field, and then just see what you think. You might start to go, "Oh yeah, I'm team so and so," or like recently. So this happens with like Drag Race Holland, Drag Race Canada. Like I have a little less appreciation for them because there's different culture, but also like Holland was in Dutch, and I don't know any Dutch at all, and so we're learning about these queens for the first time, but we're also getting like a cultural barrier kind of thing. And all I'm saying is you're all level playing field. Just follow this, see what you think. They might do like referencey stuff, and if they make a reference, it's just like X-Men. You could always look it up, Wikipedia it, right?
We need Ed Piskor to do that. We need him to do it.
I think that like I said, he would kill it. But no, any Drag Race person, any person who's never watched Drag Race and feels intimidated, I think the best thing is just pick a season, just start in, join the collective in that moment, especially if it's new, and then you go, oh, you know what? Now I really like that, or I don't like it, whatever. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch another season, and they're all up somewhere, for whatever. But yeah, I'm excited. But Drag Race is, it's a thing. I know people like DragCon. God, DragCon has become a full-on like Comic-Con experience. The people wait in line for hours to meet their favorite drag queens, to get things signed. I mean, it's amazing how they have parlayed that into what we all know from our Comic-Con experiences. Which, by the way, cons, I'm assuming... are you still there? You're still with me, right?
I'm back. Okay. I lost you for a little bit, but
it's probably on my side, so but I'm glad. Are you going to potentially, are you interested, are you thinking about any cons in your future once there are cons that, are safe?
100%. I have a new book.
Good.
New book.
So here's the deal I'm going to make for you. If you want to go to Emerald City, which is not until December of next year.
Okay.
That's how far out they pushed it. You have a place to stay.
Oh.
I will happily be your booth babe because I like talking to people, obviously, and also I like hanging out at Comic Cons and like not being like, I like sitting at a booth. No, I think you absolutely would have a good time out here. Plus Zan's here, so we could maybe get some Northwest excitement, all that
Yeah,
good
and
stuff.
Delia's there.
And Delia's here, of course.
Delia's there, so she would.
Um, Maybe we can get Vinny to come up. I mean, I would love,
I
love,
would.
love to have you here in Seattle for Emerald City. So just putting it out there.
Well, I guess we have to see the way the world looks. I mean, I have a lot of hope and I have a lot of positivity um, about the future. And that like, when you lead with that in a sentence, that means the person is high. But I'm not.
Out here, you never know. You probably could. I
Never
mean,
but I do. But I'm trying to be realistic. Just watching the rollout and just things are going slow. But I actually feel like around that time next year, like we're all gonna have like the biggest epic dance parties. I mean, I think that's gonna happen. I really believe it. And I'm kind of holding holding myself to it. You know what I mean? What else can I do? Right?
well, let's start planning for it, and then we'll put it out into the universe, and it'll happen.
We're
Also,
manifesting tonight.
we're manifesting, right? If you want, and this is for anyone, but I'm sure you probably appreciate this too. Like being a student of history, like read about the 20s, and if you don't know about the 20s, just think Chicago, like the musical, and Flappers. The 20s are a direct result of the end of World War One and the Spanish flu, right? Which was like, we think COVID's bad, Spanish flu was worse. Like, and
What?
it's oh well, I mean, it's hard to judge, right? But like
Because
numbers
and medical,
and medical,
yeah.
so worse in a sense that more people died, let's say. But like you read the historical like side effect of a plague, and not just the Spanish flu. You can go back to like the Middle Ages, all of the plagues. You see this trend where the decade, or at least the couple of years after a plague, it's insane. People go a little cuckoo bananas, very hedonistic, very like it's because it makes sense. People have been in such a dark place, and you
Right.
give them hope, and not just give them hope, but there's real hope. There's real like improvement, and whether it's in our heads and our perspectives, or it's just, oh well, I can actually travel again. Like whatever it is, people do crazy and fun stuff. So all I'm saying is, you should come do crazy and fun stuff in Seattle in December of next year. A year from now,
we will. Okay, all right. We'll do a catch up, a follow up a year
All
from
right.
now. I hope it's not just a year from now, but
we'll get Zan to do like a Northwest Press panel. We'll
yeah.
get the whole family together. It's gonna be.
Oh, he does it up at cons. I don't know if you've seen it. Like he's like disco balls and everything. So he does.
No. I was gonna be his booth babe in March of this year, and then COVID happened, and they all canceled the whole thing. But yeah, I didn't ask this. Do you have a publisher yet for the Western story and for the second Dash? I'm just if you don't yet.
Well, we're going through Northwest for Dash.
Okay.
For Tommy Dakota, we are kickstarting it. Kind of like it's just me doing it, and who knows what will happen after that. But Zan definitely promised me like a tutorial on like packing books and all that kind of stuff, and I've had some really good industry friends offer some advice. So I'm still feeling that out. Give us like 3 months. Also gives us time to get a lot of the book done. So that's how we're going to do it. And then, hopefully it gets funded. And from there, we'll see. Right.
It will be funded because we will make sure that we get the word out as a community for that. And so I have utmost confidence that you will have those problems to solve, because they are problems.
They are problems. Like like that month Dash was on Kickstarter. Like every 5-10, I'm like, you have to stop refreshing the page. Like every 15 minutes. You were stressed, I know, but I was also watching it and just like, oh my god, it's so close. Oh, it's not. And I mean, yeah, Kickstarter is great, and I'm so happy you're going it that way for this. I mean, Northwest is fantastic. I mean, they're not mutually exclusive either, right?
But like having that experience and getting it out yourself is such an empowering and painful process. So
Right, and I feel like I need to kind of get my war stripes in that way. I'm dreading it because I have like such a phobia of the mail. Like I was supposed to mail. I have like 3 Christmas presents sitting here that are going to people. I told people they were coming today. I'm going to mail them today. Didn't do it at all. I'm totally afraid of the mail, the post office. I don't want to get into it, but I'm very terrified of the post office. I had once like mail Zan back like a whole Northwest Press thing. I can't tell you the amount of anxiety that cost me.
even in a good year, the post office is a nightmare. I was there on Saturday to mail out Christmas cards, and oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
That's so great that you got Christmas cards done though. Like that's really good because
Ish. I thank you. I got them done enough, and then I realized that I had a lot of people I didn't send them to, yourself included. I'm sorry. I had an old like list of addresses, and we just moved out here, so I was like, oh, I got to make sure all these people have been sending me cards. I got to make sure they know I've moved, and I gotta. And then I went, oh, but wait a minute, I have all these. Oh my god. So yeah, my goal is for next year to get like the real full list of people I want to send cards to. So by the way, send me your address.
Okay.
And then really make sure, because I did it so late, like they're not going to be there before Christmas, which just doesn't matter, right? It's a holiday card too, so it's even better. It's like a generic. But I do want to get it like down, because it's one of those things as an adult. When you're younger, you think Christmas cards, who fucking cares? There's actual value in doing Christmas cards. Like they keep sort of you. It's like the old timey version of Facebook in some ways. It like keeps the thought that you exist and are like a part of someone's life, even if you don't talk to them for a year.
I actually have them our little rinky dink tree. I have them like it's on a table. That's how rinky dink it is. But like I have the ones that I have like gotten like bordering it now, just because it feels like just getting something from someone at this point is a gift in itself. So, but that said, I've never done Christmas cards. I bought once a whole pack of them, and I'm like, I'm going to be an adult, like you said, and send Christmas cards and be whatever. Never did it. And ended up throwing them away.
Ooh, yeah. But I will say it's the easiest thing in the world now. All you've got to do is find a couple pictures. There's so many services and sites. Even your local drugstores do this. Like, you don't even have to like do much work except get it, and some services will mail them for you. So I also have been neglecting the chat. Before we wrap up here, I feel like I've got to, so back when we were talking about the Last Jedi and the bad lip reading, Bushes of Love, also very good, funny song that they did. Thank you, James. Bill Zanowitz, our dear comic book bear friend and host, founder, my co-host, said hello. And then just now, Hannah, I assume also someone you may know. I don't know Hannah.
I may know her, yes.
Okay, good. Everyone loves mail, and you're right. Everyone loves mail, especially in 2020.
I do know. Yes,
and
she actually sends the best. Hannah actually sends the best mail. She's and postcards. She's one of those people who still sends postcards.
I got to send postcards from Japan, which is a production, by the way, though the hotel made it a little easier. Figuring out how to fit an American address in their weird, I don't say weird, their different style of address. It was a struggle. And then postage, all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just like, that's just so much.
Right. Because you're like, mail. Anyway. So your website is daveebersole.com. You can go there to find links to Dash. You can go there to find your link to your class coming up.
Yes, you can. Right on the front page, you can just press the button.
I'll be checking that out and trying to figure out if I want to commit my life to you for 8 weeks. It's very tempting. I've had a few ideas for graphic novels, and it's like, you're going to make me do it. And then you're all over the social media too. Usually, what Ebersole, or what's your social media?
Ebersole at on Instagram and Twitter, and Dave Ebersole on I have the E dropped off on both Twitter at the last my last name for Twitter and Instagram. And if you are a fan of Dash and are not following the Dash Instagram, it's dash.noir on Instagram. We're doing a lot of updates. So there's going to be an exclusive update on just on Instagram of Vinny's doing a Dash Christmas print, or I guess.
Oh,
So it should be up Wednesday. So
that's exciting.
And if Vinny's listening to this still, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make your life more stressful.
It's just Christmas. Don't worry about it. Oh, by the way, make sure it's done because you're a
As he does
taskmaster.
these things, he'll be like, "I want to do something," and he'll just shoot me some art, and it's just like, "How did you just do this?" Like, it's just so wonderful. It's just a really wonderful guy to work with. He's a really wonderful friend too. We've become very good friends. So
we got to get him up here to Seattle. We got to do this.
He's never done a con in the States. He's never done a con.
This is the perfect. I've never been to Emerald City. I'm only saying this because I've heard about it from other people. It is a great show. Yeah. It's the people who do C2E2 and New York Comic Con.
Pop
that.
Something.
Oh my God, why can't I think of this? Yeah, but those shows, C2E2 in New York, are fantastic. Yeah. Other than the Heroes Con, which I also love Heroes every chance I get.
I've never been.
Heroes, and for you, Heroes is maybe it's drivable. I don't know. I probably don't want to drive.
North Carolina?
To Charlotte, yeah, it's like probably a good 6 to 8 hours, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe that's a road trip.
Yeah, but it's I recommend it, and I hope to, if not next year, maybe the year after, but maybe even this year. I don't know. We'll see with COVID. Who knows? I love that show every time. There's so many great comic pros. It's such a homey show. Like you feel like it's very comfortable and cozy, but also friendly. It's a lot of good friendly people there. So. I love it. But anyway, we will be talking to you again, I feel like, then when this Kickstarter is getting ready to launch. Just keep that, penciled in. And then we can have more tangents and weird shit.
I would love it. I would love it.
We got a little tangenty, a little off, a little bit. I don't know if it's...
I thought we did good. I thought it was mostly coherent, and I apologize to anybody who tuned in and heard Last Jedi and just went, nope.
Why are they talking about a 3-year-old movie and who cares anymore?
Yeah, I mean, you should never talk about politics, religion, or Star Wars at the dinner table.
Oh my God. So. Yeah. No. Always the best things are the worst things to bring up, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you, Dave, so much, and I hope you have a lovely holiday. I am very excited for what's coming, and if you have not picked up Dash, oh my God, please do, because this is such a great book, and I just I want to see more people. I want to do my best to get more people to read it because it's so good.
Thank you.
So. All right. Well, see everyone. Thank you so much. And don't forget DaveEbersole.com. And we'll be back for this series in January with another guest here for the Rainbow Spotlight. So we'll see you then.